world. Wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
All right.
Where else would I be?
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Zions Bank Real Academy. Tom Hackett, Andy Munoz behind the camera. We're at Real Salt Lake training. It's a Monday. LAFC coming into town. Going to speak to the gaffer, Pablo Mastroeni. Hopefully a few players. Hope you enjoy.
Hey, before we hit interviews,
Yeah, man.
David Ochoa has gone to DC United. I know you were super opinionated in your articles about the David Ochoa situation. How do you feel about it now that it's kind of laid to rest?
I think it's a win-win for both parties. I think the club was sick of dealing with it. I think David Ochoa was sick of Real Salt Lake, so I think get him off. He's with Wayne Rooney now, who I'm sure he idolizes. And he has a new start, and the club doesn't have to worry about any of the nonsense that surrounded it. So win-win for both parties. Hopefully he does well. Always cheer for the best. He loves Real Salt Lake deep down. He had a tough go at it in 2022. So hopefully he can figure something out east and make it work. Win-win for me. What about you? You're speaking of opinionated. You're the one that's over here bloody barking instructions online.
If you want to hear my opinion, it's on the RSL show at KSL Sports. Go listen to the podcast.
That's a good little pub.
Yeah. What about the criticism about maybe the club not being super transparent, or quote unquote friends of the club not being hard on Real Salt Lake? What are your comments on that? How should they respond, or what information should they put out
regarding David Ochoa?
Yeah.
Well, what is the club gonna say? I don't understand where all of this narrative is coming from. The club can't do anything. He was here for 6 years. They developed him. They did everything they could. He got beat out because he got injured, and then he wasn't willing to put the work and time in on the training pitch to fight for his job back. So what are they gonna say? There's nothing they can say. They handled it as well as they could. Maybe over time, in the next couple of weeks, something will come out. But for now, the club just sent out a pretty basic press release saying David Ochoa's been traded to DC United. So I think personally the club did everything they could, but they're never going to bury a guy. I said this on the RSL show a couple of weeks ago. The club is never going to bury a guy. No club will ever do that, and if they do, it's a big mistake. So I think that narrative is nonsense.
All right, ready when you guys are.
Let's go. Brody, you've had a pretty good year adjusting. I remember speaking to you prior to this season, I think it was the exit interviews, and you were cautiously optimistic the club would play a fair bit in 2022, but you didn't quite know. How would you assess your year so far?
No, I think I've had a good year individually. I think, coming into the year, I wasn't quite sure, where if they saw me as the permanent left back or if they saw me elsewhere. But, with Aaron being out at the start of the year, played some on the right, not playing on the left. But yeah, for me, it's doing everything I can for the team to be able to stay on the field and help the team win.
And yourself and Justin Miram on that left-hand side, I've noticed anyway, at the start of games when you guys are kind of pinned back, it's that left side of the formation that's really starting to open things up for Real Salt Lake. How have you developed the chemistry between yourself and Miram?
Yeah, I think we're both similar players in that we want the ball and we want to drive at players and commit guys. And when you have two guys on the same side doing that, it opens up space for the other one of us playing off the ball. So I think we've developed, a good chemistry, moving off of each other, and just creating different options for each other. And you don't always have to play it. A lot of times I play that ball into Miram, overlap him, knowing that he's going to cut inside and do his thing. So I think it's about just finding him the ball in good spots, and he's had an unreal year for us, and continuing to get him the ball in dangerous positions where he can create.
It's not often you see a right-footed player play on the left side of the formation. Is your left foot improving?
Yeah, no, I think so. It's definitely something I work on. I think I'd like my crossing to be a little bit better, but I think it has been better in recent weeks. With I think I've delivered a couple balls in there, but it's about continuing to improve every single day and get better in each and every way that I can.
And then as of late, defensively, you were doing really well. And then against San Jose, you didn't play too poorly, but you gave away two pretty bad goals in the end, just soft goals, if you will. How do you rebound from something like that?
Yeah, I think the last 3 goals we've conceded dating back to Dallas have been really soft. They've been our own mistakes. So I think it's about, just staying tuned in and knowing that if maybe it's not there to play, then we put it up the field, and that's no problem. We repress and we make them deal with balls in their end. So I think it's about just limiting those little mistakes and getting back to what we were doing at the beginning of the year, and I think we'll be okay.
The adrenaline from the start of the season, I assume, is worn off. You're entering the tail end. How do you maintain that motivation to keep going? You're coming in every day, you're working, but boy, time after time, I know it can be difficult. Would you say that the group's in a good spot, despite kind of how many weeks and months you've been at it?
Yeah, I think we're in a great spot. We're in a spot where we control our own destiny. It's all in our hands, whether we want a home playoff game or to finish above the playoff line. So I think it's all up to us, and we control what we can control. I think it's just about taking it one game at a time and finding ways to string together some back-to-back wins like we were able to do earlier in the year.
Did I hear correctly that you moved out of the pad from with Justin and Aaron? What's going on?
No. I did move out. No longer with Justin Glad and those boys, but I'm only a few minutes down the road. So if I get scared in my place all alone, I can quickly drive over there.
Did you find a girlfriend? Is that what happened?
No, not quite. But just wanted some of my own space.
Nice.
And couldn't live under landlord Justin forever, so it was time.
Are you a chef? Do you cook your own food?
Yeah, I could dabble. Thanks to Tate, living at that house. He really taught me everything I know when it comes to cooking. So, credit to him. I'm glad I met him because he taught me some decent pasta meals.
Do you eat pasta the night before game?
Yeah, always. Got to get those carbs in. So that's the most important thing for me day before.
I appreciate the time.
Yeah.
Of course.
Hey, Zach.
What up, man?
How you doing?
Great.
Good to see you.
Yes, sir, you too.
This
How you
is
doing, bro?
Andy. I don't know if you've met
Hey.
Andy yet.
Yeah.
Social media. I
Yeah.
follow him.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Is this recording?
Let's have these guys pass by real quick.
Okay. Zach, I know you've been asked this question before. It'd be rude for me not to start the conversation off. What has the last, 18 odd months been like for you?
Yeah. It's been rough, man. It's definitely been a tough time in my life, but the past 15, 16 months of going through same things, coming in day out working so hard to get back on the pitch. I mean, what a feeling it's been, and I wouldn't be here without my support system, without my faith. That's really important to me, and just leaning on that more than ever, through this hard time. And I say, look, if I can go through that, I can go through anything, especially on the pitch. So that gives me a really good mindset going into basically my first start as a pro. So
I think it was the 77th minute against Wolves for the Monarchs a couple of weeks ago now. You trotted on and you looked pretty comfortable out there. Would you say you were happy with that 15 odd minutes that you played?
Yeah, I can't be too mad. The quality's gonna come back. Everything will start coming back slowly, and I know that. But just to step out there, I was buzzing, man. I did a little interview at the end too, and I was lost for words. I was ended up saying the same things over and over again, and I was so happy. It was an unreal feeling. But it's getting there, and we'll be close.
How far away are you from a full 90-minute match fitness?
Definitely. I mean, I got 45 at the weekend with Monarchs, and that felt really good. So I'm hoping not too much longer. So.
And then where do you think you'll fit in with the first team? A certain position are you? I know because I followed you at the Monarchs where you started at a fullback position, and then you played more central as the season went on. You looked really comfortable. Are you a centre back now? Is that kind of where you are at your happiest?
I think that's the role I've been building into the past year before I got hurt with Monarchs, and that was how I stepped in with preseason last year. And I assume I'll step in there, and I'll be happy to play there. Happy to play left back. Throw me at the 9. I don't care. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to help the team win and get a trophy, man.
Are you optimistic that your MLS debut will come in 2022, or is that an imagination that you can't quite grasp yet? You just got to take it day by day.
Yeah, it is day by day, but I want it. I want it so bad, and I've been working so hard for it. And when I get that chance, I'm gonna take it, and with everything I got.
Have you spoken to Pablo about how that story may unfold, what that looks like potentially, or is it?
Not yet.
No.
Not yet. No.
Okay.
Not yet.
What has Pablo? How has he helped you along this journey?
He's been very motivating for me. He trusts me. It's been big having him kind of take me with the team. Even though when I was hurt, I was hopping in the video sessions. I was here every day with the team, and that meant a lot. He could have been like, look, you're gonna come in at a different time without the team, so you can get more focused on the team and then focus on you. But he wanted everyone together. He wanted me with the squad, and that meant a lot. And he has a lot of encouraging words to say, and You know, I love his passion, and that's how I am. So I feed off that, and that's really good to see.
A lot of the time, I was actually watching this J.K. Rowling's commencement speech at Harvard yesterday. It was from like 2008. She talked about the importance of failure.
Yeah.
And not to say that you failed, but you know, you've spent a lot of time recently kind of away from where you want to be, and so in a sense I'm sure it felt maybe a bit like failure. What did you learn throughout all of that?
You know, I learned a lot about myself and how I keep myself up through adversity. You know, yes, it's those failures that lead you to win. You know, I honestly think it was Tony Finau, the golfer, that said it recently. He's like, I'm winning because I've failed so many times, and I love that, and I take that to heart. And yeah, I'm gonna fail. I'm gonna get hurt. You know, that's all part of the game. But to be able to overcome that through adversity, stay positive. You know, that's what keeps you out there, and that's what gets you to the top and to win. So,
Zach, we commend you for your efforts, and we hope nothing but the best for the future.
Thank you,
man.
sir.
Thank you, dude.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for the time.
Yeah.
Pablo, how are you doing? I like to ask that question every now and again because I feel like you don't get it asked enough. So I feel like I need to ask how you're doing mentally. Your wife was in town last week, right?
Yeah,
would've been
she's
nice.
in town. Yeah, family was in town. The kids were in town too.
Oh, everybody.
And then they went to San Jose. So life is great. Yeah, I think you know, it's an amazing thing. You know, I think pressure situations for me have always been my life. You know, and I think now as a coach, it's always thinking about how we gotta be prepared mentally to confront the team that we're playing next, and then tactically as well. And so there's really no moments to sit and pause about the big picture thing. It's really about diving deep into the process and making sure that emotionally I'm in a good place to be able to share that with the players, and then obviously with the coaching staff come up with a great tactical plan for our opponents at the weekend.
Speaking of the opponent, probably the biggest game of the year, I imagine. Supporters Shield leaders, LAFC, Chiellini, Gareth Bale, Carlos Lehmann, they're stacked, coming into town. I imagine the stadium's going to be buzzing. What are you looking forward to the most? Is this the biggest test of Real Salt Lake so far?
I think we've confronted quite a few tests this year, but for me, this is the most exciting game of the year. And I think that when we're at our best, you know, I'd like to think that we can compete with these guys and play some good stuff. You know, and I think over the last few games, we've had fantastic moments with the ball, fantastic moments without the ball, some really good moments in transition. And there's nothing better than a game like this, an opponent like this, where they are on the table, the status of their roster, to come into town and really enjoy the moment, revel in it, and play from a place of awe and excitement about being a professional footballer with our home fans. For me, there's been a smile on my face after the San Jose game, knowing that this game was coming.
We just barely spoke to Andrew Brody, and I asked him about how the adrenaline from the start of the season's probably worn off at this point. Now you're into kind of more of a day-to-day routine, and for some players it can be a bit difficult. But given how exciting, as you mentioned, this upcoming game is this a good time for a game like this, just given the excitement that surrounds it?
Yeah, you know, for us, I think it could be a springboard game, and really, obviously it's a game where results are important, but I think a performance against a team like LAFC can be a catalyst to everything moving beyond, you know. So again, I think the attention, the focus, more importantly, the mentality of this game, like I said earlier, it should come from a place of wanting to see where you stack up as an individual, as I did when I was playing, which is the cheesy cliche thing to say as a coach. But if this is the best team and these are the best players, and you have an opportunity to go there and raise your level and to see where you stand, there was nothing better. And then when you do that, and you're coming from a place of like childhood love for the game, and I think that's why this game's so excited. They have a fantastic team, super well coached. Steve's done a fantastic job with the group. We're playing at home. We've had some good performances, and now it's just about putting all that together with the right mindset.
To take the conversation to a more sour note, the last couple of goals that you've conceded have been soft, for a lack of a better word. Certainly goals that you shouldn't have given up necessarily. Do you need to play more? Do you focus on the simplicity of the game when stuff like that happens?
Yeah, I think those are moments, and it's hard, as a coach, if you try to fix every single moment, you'll never achieve anything, because you're going into the super detailed throw-in. This guy ran off here. There's so many things. So you expand it a bit and go big picture and say defensively on a throw or attacking throw-ins, this is what we want. And there was definitely some market improvement from the Dallas game to the San Jose from that department. And then obviously the PK call, we've given up quite a few PKs in the last, whatever it's been, month or so. Those are things that, of all the PKs we've given up, this is the one where you're just like, throw your hands up and you say, it's a natural reaction to protect your face. But then obviously the second goal we could have done better with as a group to keep possession of the ball and make the decision for Zach a little easier. So the good thing and what I spoke about is even when we got broken, our recovery shape, they didn't pose a lot through the run of play. And when they did, I felt like defensively our back four did a really good job stifling it. So there's some real positives to take from it. And again, once you eliminate some of these PKs and these strange goals that are happening, I think the overall defending has been really good.
You're throwing some new faces, I guess, into the heart of the midfield. You're changing things up. There was no Pablo Ruiz last game. You threw Nick Beasler in there. What are you trying to accomplish with all that? Are you trying to figure out kind of where you're at in the heart of the midfield?
No, not really. I think that Bees has been playing well in training in the weeks coming up to that game. And again, I think Pablo has been a staple for us, and I think without him in the lineup, we really lacked an ability to keep the ball, switch the point of attack, two things that we've been really good at the last few games. So getting Pablo back this week is really important, again, to bring an injection of energy into the group. He's been fresh, and I think he'll have to have a big game for us at the weekend. And so that was kind of the decision behind putting Bees in there, but we'll see how we go moving forward.
I've asked you this question in the past. Home games, you try and be more aggressive than on the road for obvious reasons. With LAFC and how impressive their strike power may be, does that change at all, or is it full send for Pablo Mastroeni?
I think we have a way we want to play always, and if our opponents on the day are better at attacking than we are defending from the front, we'll naturally get pushed back a little bit more. But then the objective is, how do we move our lines from a deeper position to be more advanced? So I think for us, everything stays the same, other than the players that are coming in and their tendencies and what they're trying to achieve and what they're trying to achieve tactically as a team. But for us, I think it's continuing to really focus on some of the good things that we've been doing on both sides of the ball, hammer those, and then clean up some of the areas where we continue to kind of let ourselves down.
And then lastly, there's been an interesting narrative online surrounding David Ochoa and what's all going on there, and I'm sure at some point, word will trickle out as to. But do you think it's a win-win for both parties here? The club gets to move on from some of the stuff that was going on, and David gets a new lease on life under Wayne Rooney, on the other side of the country. Is it a win-win?
I feel it is. I think the interesting part of this whole situation is that David and everyone in the clubhouse never had a problem. It was, let's just put it this way: if he had such a problem with all of us, he wouldn't come in and hug everyone on his way out. I think it's a situation where it's a learning opportunity for a young man who might have bypassed some important stages of his professional growth because of not having a college system and because of the lapse of really a developmental system that's been in place for 10, 15 years now. And so these are lessons that he'd have to learn as a professional. And like we always talk about, experiences always hurt because they usually come from decisions that we weren't aware of, because if we had the experience we wouldn't do that. And so my last meeting with David was, he said, I appreciate everything you're able to help me with, and then I said to him, I hope you've taken something positive from this experience, even though it was tough to go through, and look forward to you to continue your growth as a very good goalkeeper and growing your trade. And so that's how we left it. So he was happy to go to DC and experience something new, and I think all of us can rest assured that the process that was in place was the right process for the situation, and now everyone's in a good place.
Sorry, I do have one more. I do this often. Lastly, and then I'm like, oh, wait a second, I have one more question. Transfer window closes on Thursday. You said you were confident that you will hopefully bring in a number 9. I know there are other priorities on that list, not just another striker. Has that changed at all? Do you think something will come down?
I'm confident that we'll secure.
Go on, you can say it.
No, yeah. An attacking player, a midfield player, and an outside back.
Really? 3?
I'm pretty confident that we can do that. The guys upstairs have been doing a great job scouring the earth, looking for a player to fit in those roles. We've keyed in on 3, and now it's just about getting it over the line. But fully confident in our abilities to get that done. And whilst it was a real first transfer window working together, I think it was a very educational process, and I think the biggest part of that is how collaborative it was. And so it's hopefully it gets all these things get across the line, and we have 3 new teammates that will join the group.
Appreciate you, Pablo.
All right, brother.
As always, man. Thank you.
Yeah.